Balance and coordination. Woo! It is how your brain and your body move together, how your brain and body communicate together. It is the nervous system pathways that you use to help you move with more grace, more fluidity. And it's really kind of important. If your interests are managing an injury, preventing an injury, increasing your athleticism, or for sports performance, it is really important for those things, but it's not necessarily valued in a lot of health and fitness routines and in a lot of gyms. And the main reason for that is you just don't get to see the there aren't cosmetic benefits that you're going to get from that. So you're not going to do your balance exercises and somebody's going to say, well, you look great in your bikini from doing these. So it's really good to help you move better and feel better and protect the joints of your body. So in this video, what I want to do is give you some tips, some of my favorite exercises that I personally use and share with my clients to get them to improve their balance. Before I give you these 5 movements, it's kind of important when you do this, kind of find your zen. You want to be a little bit more relaxed because, again, it is nervous system pathways and it is kind of this communication within your nerve pathways. And the more like your brain is active and thinking about things and doing things, the more you're not going to be in tune with your body. So try to relax, get in tune with your body. As you can probably imagine and guess, the first one is just standing on one leg. If that's a chore for you, I don't want you to move beyond standing on one leg. If standing on one leg is a chore for you, what you're going to want to do is be by a wall in front of you or a wall beside you and practice standing on one leg. Once you get to the point, or if you're already there, like I can stand on one leg, no problem at all, then you can move on. Now, can you stand on one leg and close your eyes? And then same thing, you'd be by a wall, close your eyes. Can you stand on one leg and close your eyes for at least 10 to 15 seconds? And if you're trying this at home, you'll realize this is actually more challenging than you would think. And if you're wondering, why is it so hard to stand on one leg when my eyes are closed versus when they're open? And the reason for that is we get so much of the cues of where we are in space by our eyesight. So I know where I am in space and I can easily stand on one leg with that. But as soon as my eyes close, there's a little bit more, ooh, I've lost that eyesight. So now you're relying on, I call them the position sensors within your joints and your tissues. But they're little nerve receptors. You got these tiny little nerve receptors in all of your joints, in all of your muscles, in all of your connective tissues like your tendons and your ligaments. And they help give you that feedback of where each joint position is in space. And so when you close your eyes, you're relying on those, which means if you practice standing on one leg with your eyes closed, you're going to wake up those little nerve receptors, those little position sensors that are going to overall give you more balance. So you've got those down. So then the next thing is, can I stand on one leg and maybe move through my hips? And I'm going to give you a couple of examples that you'll see in yoga, and then another one that you see in more like athletic training, and they kind of overlap. And so in yoga, they've got something that they call a warrior 3. So you stand on one leg. That leg that comes back, you're not necessarily trying to get as high with it. You're just trying to reach back with it. So sit your hip back. And then what they do is they bring their arms overhead. And then they reach and they try to hold that. There is another exercise used a little bit more in athletic training called a single leg Romanian deadlift. It is almost identical, a lot of similarities, but they may use a weight in their hand. So like a kettlebell, they'd hold a weight in their hand. It could be in both hands, or it's on the opposite hand of the stance leg. But then what they do is they go down and then they come back up. So they turn it more into an exercise where you're moving back and forth rather than the hold. So then looking at a fourth option, add a little bit more movement through that hip while you're standing on one leg. So there's something called a like a Y excursion, or Y balance or Y matrix. And what that's going to be is, as you stand on that one leg, and you're going to go in different planes of movement. So one is, how far could I reach my heel and touch my heel out in front of me? And then I'm going to reach behind me, and I'm going to turn around and show you this one facing the other way. So let's say I reached here. Now it's kind of a Y movement. It's a reach here, and then it's a reach behind me here, kind of like a curtsy type of a lunge here. So I'm going to reach this way, and how far can you reach and just touch that to the ground? And then the same thing here. How far can you reach and just barely touch that to the ground? Versus, here's what I see people do incorrectly, that you're losing a lot of the value of this, is I see people and they step back. And then they step back. Now, there are some other exercises where you step back and go into lunge positions, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about increasing your balance and trying to touch, and then going the other way and trying to touch. And again, you could also do the one in front. So you're doing these here. And then, of course, you would do that on both sides. So now I'm moving my body into these different planes of movement on that one side. And you're going to get so many different hip muscles, all the fine-tuning hip stability muscles when you do those kinds of things. Now, another one kind of in that same that same concept, that same idea, there's something called a hip airplane that I really like a lot. And now you get into that position, but now what I'm going to do is kind of open up and close through this here. And I'll show you a couple different angles. Closed, and then I'm opening up through all of that. All that movement is coming from my hip, meaning I'm not moving from my spine. So here's a common mistake I see with this one, is they get here, but then there's kind of like this, they want to like look their head up, and then they want to turn their body. But you'll notice my pelvis isn't moving that much. I'm moving all through my body. So it is more of my hip kind of faces this way, and then now my hip opens up and faces that way there. So it's called a hip airplane. So either that star excursion, or I'm sorry, the Y matrix, the Y excursion, or that hip airplane, those are two great ways to get a little bit more movement through that hip while you're practicing the balance. And then the fifth and the final kind of component of practicing your balance is using something that is a little less stable of a platform that you stand on. Now, I am using the Slack Block. I get no money from them. I am not affiliated with them in any way. This is just, I've tried different standing on foam and standing on all these different balance tools. This is my favorite. And the reason why I like the idea of the foam on the bottom, but you still have somewhat of a stable platform on top, I think it mimics more real world experience. We're never just walking on foam pads, at least we shouldn't be. We're walking on hard surfaces, so it allows us to have that hard surface there, but all that instability underneath. And then start all over again. Now you've got your unstable surface. You would just start with, can I just stand on one leg? Can I stand on one leg? And sometimes it's just moving this here, and then of course you would, anything else you want to start to work with on there. But you can see it's this unstable surface. It wants to move there. So I'm really working all these fine-tuning muscles in my ankles and my lower part of my foot. I call these the stirrup muscles because, I'm doing this here. And so I'm using these stirrup muscles here to really increase my balance and my coordination through there. So there you have it. There are 5 movements, exercises, activities that you can do to increase your balance. I hope you got a little something out of this video. If you did, maybe give me the thumbs up. Even better, leave a comment and like our page. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below, and then we'll see you on the next video.